Hi, welcome to The Grind. It is that series that we are taking some time and thinking about some things that have to do with God that basically are a reminder to you and I that life sometimes is a grind. And if we're going to be successful, we have to embrace the grind and thrive in the grind and understand that in order to get where it is that we're supposed to be, it involves a grind. Now, if you were to ride around with me in my truck, you would find out that I am a complete fan of XM radio. Years ago, on a trip to do some disaster relief work on the Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina, we had an XM radio that was picking up a satellite signal when so many other radio stations and radio towers had been destroyed by a storm. And I became absolutely fascinated with XM satellite radio, the channels and the lack of commercials and all of those kind of things just fascinated me. And so as soon as I got back, I became a subscriber and got my first of many XM radios through the years. I am, I guess, a lifer because I am going to continue to do that. I just like to have a little bit more of that entertainment on demand. Now some people do it with their cell phones, which is great because we now run through apps. And so I can listen to XM radio a variety of ways. And you say, why are you telling me that? Because one of my favorite stations on XM radio is Radio Classics. It is that classic radio station that goes back and pulls from days of old, those radio shows that played when there was no such thing as television, no such place to go as your streaming media service, no Netflix, no Paramount Plus, no Paramount Minus, none of those kinds of things. They weren't out there then. This is where people would gather around their radios, usually as families, and just listen to the crackling radio signal as it would come in, where voices would come in and these people would come into the homes. And I love some of the shows. I really do. I love to hear them, and there's so many of them out there that you're often hearing new stuff. I like the comedy a lot. Jack Benny, that old radio show of his, very, very funny. The Bob Hope shows, tremendously funny. Fibber McGee and Molly has to be my favorite sitcom before there was a sitcom. Listening to the mischief that Fibber gets into and the characters that are there, it makes you laugh. But then also there's this other brand, and if you're feeling a little bit darker, what I think was interesting about radio is radio didn't hesitate to try to scare you. And so there's a lot of science fiction, and you don't think about that being that old, but then also even fear, fright, horror that are part of some of those radio classics. Now, there's one that comes on, and I love to listen to it. It comes on because it says that famous line, "Who knows what evil lurks in the heart of men? The shadow knows." And then there's this maniacal laughter, and it's almost haunting. And then it usually goes into some weird, bizarre tale of something that someone had done wrong, and then the shadow knows, and the shadow's kind of a superhero Batman type before Batman was really Batman, and all those kind of things that take place. But it's a very penetrating first line. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. And he always knows those deep, dark secrets. That has a lot to do with the grind. Because at the end of the day, as we're trying to be the godly people we're created to be, most of us have figured out that we're just not that godly. Most of us have figured out that we screw up a lot. Most of us have figured out that on our best day, we're kind of goof-ups. And if people really knew what we were like, they probably wouldn't like us as much. If they knew some of the things that we would think from time to time, they wouldn't want to be around us. Sometimes if they could hear what we say, even to those closest to it in private, they would just be appalled that we could actually talk that way. Yeah, that's just who we are. But if we're going to be who God has created us to be, here's what we have to remember. There is someone who knows our heart. They know what evil lurks in the hearts of men. They know what makes us tick. They know what we're really, really like. And it's not the shadow, it's God. God knows our hearts and loved us enough to say that He is going to place within us a new heart, a heart transplant, if you will. Not a patch job, not a few Band-Aids, not a stent, but a new heart. And in that new heart, then, He has that room to fill us and change us and make us who we're supposed to be. Now, once that heart is transplanted, it doesn't mean that we get it right away, but instead it means that he has taken that old evil heart, moved it aside, and put within us a brand new heart. And in that new heart, then, we have the capacity to love and view life as God wants us to. But we have to work to get that heart in shape. And so we have to do good cardio. We have to do good fitness. We have to be able to do those things that allow us to grow deeper and stronger and be that person that God wants us to be. And that, my friends, can be a grind. And that's why we have to embrace it. Why do we need to? Because God knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. But he loves us enough to get rid of that heart and put a brand new one in so we can become who we were created to be. Then it's up to us to get in shape. So get in shape, that's the grind, and that's the way it happens. And as you try to do it, you're going to find that you go deeper and more spiritual, and God will bless you in ways that you never thought were possible, especially remembering where you've come from, with that evil heart and all. I look forward to joining you next time on our next edition of The Grind.